President Trump says the United States will disarm Hamas quickly and perhaps violently, in his words, if it doesn't give up its weapons in Gaza. Mr. Trump says Hamas had told him it would disarm as part of his ceasefire deal, insisting it would happen. On Tuesday, Hamas handed over the remains of another 4 people. 3 have been confirmed as hostages: Uriel Baruch, Tamir Nimrodi and Eitan Levy. 1 body is yet to be identified. 8 bodies have now been returned. Another 4 are expected in the next few hours. All remaining living hostages held by Hamas were returned on Monday. Israel's now reported to be reopening the Gaza border crossing with Egypt as originally scheduled. Our North America correspondent David Willis reports.
Amid Gaza's ruins lie the bodies of Israeli hostages. Hamas's failure to find them is threatening to drive an early wedge into an already fragile ceasefire agreement. The delivery of 4 more bodies by the International Red Cross still left 20 unaccounted for. Israel plans to restrict the delivery of aid to Gaza and keep the border crossing with Egypt closed until Hamas hands over more of the dead. Within Gaza, Hamas is reasserting its authority, turning its guns on armed clans which it accuses of collaborating with Israel. The group's refusal to disarm poses the most immediate threat to Donald Trump's plan for peace in the region, and he was asked about it at an event at the White House.
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them.
How will you do that?
I don't have to explain that to you. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
Many are wondering if the spirit and the celebration of the last few days can be sustained, given this is a ceasefire deal short on detail and lacking any sort of firm agreement. Despite Donald Trump's confidence, his Israeli counterpart is striking a note of caution.
I think I heard the president speak tonight. He said, listen, they better do it, or, how can I speak for him? He said, all hell breaks loose, okay? Well, I hope it doesn't. I hope we can do this peacefully, and we're certainly ready to do so.
The extent of the devastation in Gaza is said to exceed that of both Berlin and Hamburg after the Second World War. How soon the 2 million Palestinians who live there can start to rebuild their lives depends on many factors, still to be worked out. David Willis, BBC News.
Our Middle East correspondent Hugo Bashega told me more about the hostage remains returned to Israel.
3 of the 4 bodies that were returned by Hamas to Israel last night have now been identified, but Israeli media is reporting that the authorities are saying the 4th body is not of a deceased hostage, and it's not the first time that this happens. Hamas mistakenly sent the body of a Palestinian in an exchange that happened earlier this year. So if this information is confirmed, it means that 21 bodies of hostages remain in Gaza, and obviously the delay in returning these hostages, the bodies of these deceased hostages, has caused a lot of anger in Israel, has raised fears that there could be some kind of derailment in this ceasefire deal in Gaza. And Hamas has not explained the reason behind this delay, but it had said that it didn't know the location of all those bodies inside Gaza, that it would need some time to retrieve those bodies. Obviously, under this deal, the ceasefire deal that was announced by President Trump, all those bodies must return to Israel. So obviously, for many of these families, the wait continues.
And Hugo, what is the situation with the Rafah border crossing that Israel had been keeping closed because of the situation with the return of the deceased hostages?
Yeah, so there have been reports this morning suggesting that the Rafah border crossing, which is the crossing point between Gaza and Egypt, has been reopened as planned. The Israeli authorities had threatened to delay the reopening of this border crossing because of this delay in the return of the deceased bodies of the deceased hostages, the bodies of the deceased hostages from Gaza. And also the Israeli authorities had also threatened to restrict the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Now, 600 truckloads of aid are expected to enter Gaza each day as part of this ceasefire deal. And also this morning, there have been reports in Israeli media suggesting that 4 more bodies of deceased hostages are expected to be returned later today.
Hugo Bashega. In Gaza, dozens of people have died in the past few days in fighting between Hamas and other armed groups. Our Gaza correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf explains who these fighters are.
There is active threefold groups of gangs. They are in the north, in Khan Yunis, and also in the south, in Rafah, the biggest one, which is belong to Abu Shabab group. Well, the threefold groups are located in an area where Israel is still controlling, so Hamas cannot attack them, but they are working in other elements inside. I mean, yesterday and last night, there was an exchange of fire in Shijaiya neighborhood east of Gaza. Yesterday, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas issued a very long statement condemning Hamas of this public execution. They said this is a criminal activity and it doesn't help our cause as Palestinians to show that people under occupation are executing other people in the streets of Gaza. And he urged Hamas not to do any act such as killing people in public because this will, ruin the image of Palestinians. Will Hamas justify this, saying that we can't leave Gaza for thieves and criminals and people who collaborate with Israel? And this has no link with the future plan of who's going to govern Gaza or about the women. They said this is an immediate threat to the population that we are trying to take it out.
We had that warning from Israel saying it would restrict aid convoys into Gaza because of the delays in returning the remaining bodies of hostages. What is the latest in the humanitarian aid that is actually getting into the Strip at present?
Well, Israel yesterday threatened to delay the opening of Rafah crossing, where we are expecting 250 people to cross into Egypt today. All of them are sick people and people who were seriously injured during the war. The World Health Organization said about 15,000 people are in urgent need for treatment outside Gaza because Gaza, there is lack of facilities. Most of the hospitals are destroyed. Until now, none of the trucks crossed into Gaza, but we are expecting 400 to 600 trucks to allow today. Yesterday, Israel was also threatening to reduce the number of trucks, which is very frustrating moment for the people of Gaza. And, it will take a long time for Hamas to identify the rest of the 21 Israeli hostage body in Gaza. And the ceasefire is fragile. We have seen 7 people killed yesterday. So everything is grim and not clear and very frustrating for the people that this process, which is the easiest bit, is not working according to plan.
Rushdie Abu Alouf.